is with us, peacemaker, code breaker, winner of the Prague Peace Prize, and an expert in identifying false flag operations. We're also talking about directed energy weapons. Before we move on to the next target, President Biden supposedly said something, he's in his advanced stage of dementia. Sometimes he blurts things out, and sometimes maybe he says the quiet part out loud. He mentioned something about he visited some place that had been ravaged by wildfires, and he said something about blue-roofed houses surviving wildfires.
That's what I'm saying. It's these fires are so many of them are not normal fires. You will see once again the anomalies. Look at the fires. It's a no-brainer. Once you start seeing it, no-brainer. We've sent in experts, forest fire experts, and they say we've never seen anything like it. So
the next target.
Dear Mr. Biden also finally went to Maui, and what did he say? He said, FEMA is here. Thank God they were there before it even started. That's really handy as well. And then they will help us finish the job. Finish the job. That's it. The enemy is from within. I say this again, the enemy, and I'm really putting myself on the line here. I would say the ones that carried out the attack on Maui, it was part of an operation called Talisman Saber 23. Talisman Saber, like the light sword 23, was the U.S. Space Force. The U.S. Space Force. And once I really started finding and pinpointing them, I also found clues where I've been able to predict multiple other fires that has then happened and carried out by the very same U.S. Space Force. So
how did you determine the code name for that? Talisman Saber 23?
Yeah, it's on their own website. It's on their own website. And the thing that is scary with this is that when these type of operations are carried out, there's always a drill first. The drill is where they coordinate all the sources, where they practice, where they rehearse, where they put everything in place, and then boom, they go live. Very often these are NATO drills, NATO operations that are first go through that, and then they go live. You will see so many times over the years, I do not say this lightly, something happens, boom. But if you just rewind the tape a little bit, and you will see just weeks before or hours before, days before, there was a drill, an exercise in that area. And so when I looked into the Maui fires, I was not prepared for Maui at all. I had no idea. And then, of course, with my knowledge, I was looking, was there a drill? Was there an exercise in the area? And that was the thing that got me on track of Operation Talisman Saber 23. And that was a joint operation of countries with paradise islands. Very unusual. Normally that is not the scenario or the members of these exercises. But you had Tonga, Singapore, New Zealand, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, the UK, who have a lot of these islands as well, the US.
Tropical islands with beautiful sandy beaches.
There you go. Real estate, high value, also smart islands. On an island, it's so much easier because limited space surrounded by water, you only need to control this. It's not like a big continent. So, and also I saw how they set it up, and you will see on the website, they're talking about it as well. And they had this drill that went all the way up until just a few days before this attack occurred, where they were rehearsing, where they were going through all of it. And then they went back to Fort Kirkland, I believe in Colorado, but the U.S. Space Force seems to need also what do you call it, like a fortress or a station close to the targeted area. I'm not sure if that is needed, but at least that is what I see. And on the Space Force website, it's packed with clues and pointers and bizarre It is a very, very odd thing. When you look at it, they're not talking about soldiers, they're talking about guardians, their emblems, like they've got one emblem. It's like you got like three laser beams going down from the sky to the earth, to the world, and what it's pointing at is exactly at Hawaii, you know. It's on and on. But anyway, so I know maybe we're short of time, that I should move forward. So please, I'm not here to freak anyone out. I'm not here to scare anyone, but yet again, it is only when we start understanding their modus operandi and understanding the steps, the recipe of these disasters, that if we can catch them in the beginning, then we have a possibility to stop them. Because like all other criminals, they can only work in the dark, in the shadows. If you aim the spotlight at them, boom, you neutralize them. They cannot carry it out if enough people know about it. So I've been looking in many different areas of the world, looking for these signs, because we have mosquito releases, we have other areas that have been attacked by hurricanes where it's like, what is that? You know, very odd ones. Florida is one of these areas. Florida is one of these areas where you got U.S. Space Force, you got FEMA on location, you got the Florida is also the backyard of the CIA, has been for many years. J.M. Wade, you have Miami, you have Disney World, the whole shebang is right there. You have multiple different false flag operations that have been carried out. The Pulse Club in Orlando, you had the Parkland shooting, you had, it's very limited space and very close to each other. And so not long ago, there was on the local news in Florida that there had been green laser coming from the sky. And I was like, whoa, what? Say again, because this is exactly in an area that ticks the other boxes. Right. And the green laser was carried out about 5-6 months before the attack, meaning
in Maui,
that if it's in Maui, yeah. So if this is correct, then we have maybe 4 or 5 months to stop this whole thing, if I'm on target here.
Where specifically in Florida?
It was at over a city called Cape Coral.
Cape Coral,
Cape Coral. And right outside there, you got FEMA, you got Fort Myers, you got the U.S. Army Corps also. And the U.S. Space Force is very close on the other side of the eastern coast of, I think it's called Fort Randall, on the east coast of Florida. So all of it is very closely knit together. Exactly, if you compare to Maui, the setup is similar. And so in comes the green laser. And so on the local news, they were interviewing people.
It scanned over me multiple times, and it was just moving. It was scanning the whole area, every square footage, basically. Going just forward.
The people said, I don't know. They were flying. It was one single plane flying up and down, and the green laser was being filmed going like this, exactly like the same type of mapping here. This was a private plane, or a plane that was owned by a company called Randolph or Ranolo LLC.
I'm looking at a local news story as you're talking to me. I'm typing this in. Cape Coral residents see mysterious green flight lasers. This is February 13, 2024. And the news organization, WINK News, I guess they checked airports and radar to find out who might be responsible for this plane that was scanning in green. And the plane was registered to Randigo LLC. It's registered in Wilmington, Delaware. Randigo LLC. Okay.
Yeah. And that one, I mean, we're talking lasers over a city. Okay, is that a private person playing around with this stuff? If it goes for an hour, something would happen. Somebody would react from the U.S. Air Force or whatever. You know, this is very odd. But this is, it comes from an airport in Alabama, I believe. which is Alabama, is also very close to, or is the center for Operation Paperclip and many other things in that. But it's a local, small little airstrip. And I was on Michael Jacobs' show, who's a former CIA. And when we were talking about this, the usage of this airstrip and this type of company, I didn't want to say it because for me it smells CIA a long way, with the way they also, when you look at the ownership of this company, very covered, like this is owned by this, is owned by this, is owned by this. And so I asked Michael, he said, CIA, CIA, CIA. Okay, fine. So we have, if that is correct, we have very odd green laser mapping of an area carried out by one plane allowed up there and possibly controlled by CIA. This is not good news at all, I would suggest. Then you have also the release of mosquitoes are in the area. You also have, there's smart city planning for Cape Coral. They already have the whole layout of that. The mapping is done, the architecture is done, the funding is done to a certain extent. And then on the US Space Force website, there I found other clues. There's these photos. I have to just say that one of the reasons I'm famous for this is not because I'm sort of like, I get it, this thing out of a vision. It's because I've been contacted by insiders who have told me how they do it. And one of the things they do is they leave hidden clues about upcoming attacks in the forensic evidence or somewhere, because according to this insider, he said they are terrified of the law of karma because they do so much bad. But the way they see it is that if they show us even in subtle ways what they're going to do and we do not react, then the bad karma is on our shoulders. They told us, we should have known better and stopped it.
I guess that makes sense. I've always looked at it as kind of in a slightly different way. I'll get your feedback on this. I mean, I think ultimately these individuals that are doing this are satanic, and it's almost like they look at these horrible tragedies as a work of art, right? For them, evil is beautiful. And when they perpetrate these tragedies, it's like this work of art, and like an artist will sign his masterpiece, they can't sign it, they can't reveal who they are. So they leave these little signatures in a way so they can say, yes, we did this. I don't know. That's just my thought.
I think it's a combo. Mm-hmm. But with this person said, who is on the inside, I listened to him because I can speculate and think whatever.
Right.
But it came from him, and it was in the fall of 2014 that he contacted me, and that was the first time I started seeing, oh my God, he seems to be correct. And it's since then that I've been so focused on finding the hidden clues and have predicted 69 of these ones now, up until 2 months before they happened, because I followed what he said. And so on the U.S. Space Force, there's like one photo of they're handing out a medal or something like that to a soldier. You can't see the face. There's no head. It's just a uniform. But the name tag is, oh my God, brain's dead.
That's okay.
The name... Yeah, sorry about that. But then the name tag is a place in Chile where just not long after I pointed that out, laser attacks or direct energy weapons attack was carried out in that exact area. Then there were other ones pointing from there towards a Spanish island. Directed energy weapons were carried out there. And then there's another photo on this website also. There's so many weird things on this website that is pointing in different direction. But another name tag where they're holding the US banner like this, vertical, not the US Space Force banner. They're holding it horizontal, not vertical, like this. And the guy who's standing behind it, his name tag is Coffin, which I thought, that's an odd name. Mm. But you have in Florida just north of Tampa, which is not far from Cape Coral, there's one place called Coffin, and then you got the island areas just south of Florida, are the Coffin Bay, Coffin this, Coffin that. So that's another one where I think it's possible that they're pointing in this direction.
Do they have? Is Operation Blue Roof also very active in Cape Coral?
Yep. They've I think between 6,000 and 11,000 buildings since 2017, if I was informed correctly, have been equipped with blue roofs. So It's like, whoa, that is a lot. And so I would suggest, why not do a private mapping, fly drones over the areas and see what buildings are blue. Is this, and then compare them to future maps of the Agenda 21 smart city layout. Is it possible that these two would just over map each other, fit in perfectly? Because that would also prove that my theory could be correct. And if so, we really need to do something. Maybe one thing would be to tear these blue roofs down or paint them red or whatever, so that we are messing it up for the ones that wants to attack us, or at least become aware of it months ahead of before they pull the trigger.
Well, there you go. A warning not to create unnecessary fear, but Ole, you have recognized the patterns. You've identified targets previously, and so it's only prudent to consider this, that Cape Coral, if we're looking at the same time frame as Maui, which the lasers and so forth around January, February, the fire in August of 2023. So now we're into February was when the lasers were seen in Cape Coral. So again, we're looking at perhaps August of 2024. So a possible wildfire, in quotes, coming to Cape Coral. Let's hope not, but again, forewarned, forearmed. Well, Ole, we're going to have you back on because there's so much else to discuss. We had recently, in fact, we'll get you on soon, if we can, if you're available, because we had of course, the Singapore flagged ship slamming into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Baltimore is probably one of the most important ports in all of America. It's going to disrupt supply chains. What's that all about? Some people, there's a lot of intel chatter suggesting that was a deliberate attack, not an accident. And then, of course, we had that horrific terrorist attack, so-called, in Moscow at a concert hall. So we'll talk about those as well. Ole, thank you so much, as always. lightonconspiracies.com, the website, and the link is in the episode notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. And I just want to say, when you mentioned like this bridge thing and other, you've got an earth slide, a landslide in Sweden, you got other areas. It's precision bombing. Look at these. Where exactly does these accidents happen? They're cutting it up, cutting it up, cutting it up. It is not a coincidence, I tell you. Not.